Hi, Mandy. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, YouTube. My main audience is on TikTok. That's why you're only going to see the side of my head. I just go on here to save my lives. So if you have any parenting questions, you can ask on YouTube. Okay. Welcome back, Mandy. J&A Boo. That's a new one. Or are you? Are you regular? No, you're not a regular. I would have remembered that name. Harold's World. You've been here before, I think. J-Man. I'm not sure. J-Man. I'm not sure. Okay, Emmy. Hi, Emmy. Sue and Ford. I am. Hi, I am. That reminds me of my new pronoun. I'm not into all this politically correct stuff. And because I always say I'm just her, and then if someone argues with me and says, well, you need to pick a specific pronoun, I say, well, just my pronoun is who, W-H-O. Think about that. So who did you talk to? Who? Who? Yeah, I wasn't very popular at that event. Anyway, that's okay. I'm used to that. I'm not very politically correct. Okay. Actually, I thought that was really funny. I've never heard anyone else come up with that one. I thought it's a really good one. It's that old joke that Abbott and Costello, I think it is, when they did the baseball joke, who's on first, reminded me of that. Okay, so while we're waiting, I'd love to hear where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Beautiful day today. And we get a lot of rain, but boy, when it's sunny, it is sunny and hot for weeks and weeks on end. So, and then we're all complaining about the heat. You can't please us. Okay, so where are you from? Love to know where you're from. Okay. Oops. Oh, I've got my mic for YouTube, but I didn't plug it in. The computer the phones are great, but the computers, I've got a MacBook Pro, but still the microphone isn't great on there. Okay, where are you from? I get some new people on here lately too, because I did another jump. You do that. You'll stay the same for a while, and then you get a big jump. You'll get like a video that takes off, and then you get new followers. Missouri, West Virginia here. Hi, West Virginia. Sterling, Scotland. You've been here before, haven't you? Sterling, Scotland. Tulsa, Oklahoma. I think you've been here before. Ohio, Iowa, and Idaho. Very good. I had 3 people on once, back to back. Ohio, Iowa, and Idaho. That was difficult for me. Temecula, California. Never heard of that. Okay, so while I got enough people. Charlotte, North Carolina. It's see, I like that. North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, Virginia. Why does that annoy me so much? If there's a West Virginia, there should be an East Virginia. Carolinas have it right. Okay, Abbotsford. Hi, neighbor. Oh, you've been here before. Abbotsford. That's Abbotsford. If you're not familiar, I live in Vancouver, BC, and Abbotsford would be about an hour from here, I think, straight down the freeway. Okay, so let's get going with our parenting questions. I'll try and go back to the beginning because there was a couple at the start. If you're new here, welcome. I'm a parenting coach. I just answer parenting questions to the best of my ability. Some of them I can't answer. Like if it's too involved, I'll just say that's for coaching. I did that a lot yesterday. I hate saying that. Oh, you have to hire me to get that answer. But sometimes I need to assess the situation. I have to ask too many questions before I can give you an answer. The bigger the question, the less likely I am to answer it on here. Like if it's, how do we amalgamate 2 different families, teenagers and kids? I can't answer that on here. Okay, you'd have to hire me for that. Okay, my 2-year-old is in a phase of everything mine and hitting. No form of discipline is helping. Yeah, they're just forming, okay? I've done a lot of recent videos on toddlers because those are the most questions I get on here. Toddlers are just crazy human beings. They're just forming. They're brand new, fresh. If you've only been in the world for 2 years and the first year you were a potato laying on a mattress, how much common sense could you have? Really, would you listen to disciplining? You just don't understand it. You don't talk to them. You use consistent corrective actions. They will eventually learn. So every time they do something bad, you say no, and you make sure you remove that toy or remove them from a situation. It's very quick. It's very calm, very quiet. Let them have a fit and ignore them after that. So when they're having a tantrum, you just ignore them. So yeah, they'll eventually learn, but they don't learn the first time. They don't learn the 50th time. It might be the 100th time because they learn through repetition. It's consistent corrective actions if they're under 3. They cannot reason. Oh, by the way, yes, they can reason if it suits them, but they're not really reasoning. They're just going, yeah, okay, whatever. But yeah, you can't reason your way out of bad behavior with a 2-year-old. You can try. That's that mini therapy session style with all the pleaser parent style that's so popular right now, discussing all the big feelings and big emotions. It's just garbage. It's absolutely just for the mom. It's not for the toddlers at all. They're not listening to you. They're watching you. Okay, West Virginia. Hi, West Virginia. Whoops. Shoot, I get all these new commands on here. We can now do 10-minute videos that I can do now on here. I don't know if I'll ever do a 10-minute video. No, I don't think anyone could pay attention for 10 minutes. What are your thoughts on screen time? I have a whole bunch of videos on how to manage screen time or media management. And what I suggest you do, there's 3 different ways of doing this if they're 3 years old and over. 2 of them I don't really like. One is you can have a certain time every single day. And the other one is you can have a certain allotted amount of time every single day for screen time. I don't like either one of those because you're micromanaging. The one that I like is give them, like, I don't know what it is. It could be 5, 10, 20 hours a week. I don't know, of screen time. And then you break it down into minutes. So if you've given them 10 allotted hours per week on screen time, then you keep track of 600 minutes there. And you do it on a graph. And you just check off the minutes that they use. Once they've used up all that time, then it's gone for the rest of the week. So they will learn how to manage themselves. That's the one I like. You want to start passing over responsibility to your kids. You don't always want to be policing everything. So yeah, and plus when you've written it down and it's all up there, they can't really argue that. They can not like it, and that's okay. It's okay. You're not trying to please that's the please your parent stuff. It's okay if they don't like the right thing that you're doing. It's okay. Don't ever worry about that. If you know you're doing the right thing, don't worry about it. Just follow through. Any advice on getting toddler to be nicer at daycare? She's an only child and does things at school. I can't really help you with that. No, I can't tell you how to handle her at daycare. But the thing is that they tend to take what they learn at home everywhere they go. Not so much when they're really little, more so when they're 3. But yeah, just make sure that there's consistent corrective action whenever you're dealing with naughty behavior at home, and then they eventually will learn. Usually, if they're being nasty to other kids, especially, the other kids will teach them. They either ignore them or they might actually belt them. So the other kids' social skills are usually learned by other kids teaching them. I'm Donna Leicester's wife. And she absolutely loves you. Excellent. Ann Leicester. Am I saying that right? Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that. Listen, I always appreciate your support. On last Sunday, I hit 550,000. And a year and a half ago, I wasn't even on here. So I'm really grateful and appreciative. But when you love what you do, to be able to help people, and every single day people say I'm improving their lives through parenting. It's like gold, right? How can you not just love that? I just love what I do. I got to put food on the table. It's still a business, but basically it's a passion. I was volunteering with kids for decades before I ever started this business. So I just love getting respect from kids. I love that. I love figuring them out. Teenagers are my favorite age. I don't know what you're talking about. Are sensory videos on YouTube okay for babies to watch in moderation? I probably wouldn't have any baby looking at a screen, to be honest. I don't know what you mean by that. How to approach teens about drugs if I suspect? Okay, you have to hire me for that because I don't know your relationship. You work on the relationship before you start to deal with the stuff with teenagers. So with little children, you discipline them to get respect. With teenagers, you got to get respect before you discipline. So I can't help you with that. Drugs is a big issue. I take that stuff really seriously. I specialize in teenagers, actually. So yeah, you'd have to hire me for that. We probably wouldn't even deal with it in week 1, probably week 3. Because you got to I got to figure out what kind of parent you are and how to go about it, right? Oh, I don't discuss foster children. No, I don't, because I only teach parenting. The reason I don't discuss foster parenting, or I don't talk to daycare workers, teachers, a lot of them are my clients with their own kids, but I don't know anything about fostering. I don't know anything about daycare or teaching or child psychologist. I don't know they hire me, but I don't know their job either. So yeah, foster kids, they're not your kids. So you're under some constraints when you've got foster kids. They usually got some damage, some history, some trauma behind them. I do specialize in that stuff, but I don't know what it is. It's a big issue. If you really want my help, you can hire me, but that's not a TikTok answer. My son likes to play a lot out and begs to stay out longer. Was he 18, 8, 2? I don't know. How to approach? Oh, I just wanted to give you an update with my son. Change is happening and it's because of you. Thank you. Excellent. That's why I'm on here. Most people are never going to hire me. But if I can help people just for free on here, I'm thrilled. And also if you look at my link above, I've got 3 different levels: free behavior board. You can buy my courses, or you can hire me for coaching. And you get varying results. Obviously, the more up the ladder you go, you're going to get better results generally. But lots of people are getting good results with just the free behavior board. So how do I not put my 3-year-old in a headlock daily? I don't know. Oh yeah. Have you heard of breath holding skills in babies and toddlers? Yeah, I can't really tell you what to do. I know exactly what I do, but I can't tell you what to do because it's not medically sound. Like, I can't give medical advice, but I know what I do for that. I can't tell. Look it up. I can't tell you that. Sleep training with babies. Sleep training is usually babies. Is that what you mean? My grown son is a conditioned bully. Any advice? Your grown son's I'd need to talk to you about that if you want any advice. I don't know what kind of relationship you have. No power over your son unless you've got a good relationship with him. So I can't tell you. This is what parents struggle with. They want the results without setting themselves up as a leader first. Like, it's like being able to fly a plane without all the knowledge of how you be a pilot first. Do you know what I'm saying? I got to teach you how to give respect to get it before I can tell you what to do. I keep it very light on TikTok. Coaching is very intense. It's goofy too. There's a lot of funny stuff on there. But what I mean is, I'm setting you up. I don't fix kids. I teach parents. I'm setting you up as a leader. So you sail right through the teen years like I did. That's my whole goal for you. Okay, sleep training. If it's a baby, I'll tell you what I did with my own kids. What did I do? It's funny, I have no memory of doing this with my daughter, but I know I did. She wasn't much of a crier or anything, so it wasn't as traumatic. But my son was, I think, about 10 months old, and I thought, I'm sick of this. I was getting up every night to feed him, and he'd just be on the boob like this. He wasn't hungry. And I thought, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm pretty sure it was 10 months. So I thought, fine, I'm going to sleep train him. So he gets up, and I go, and you're okay. And I put him back down. He had a dummy, and I put him back down. And I said, that's it. I love you. Good night, whatever. And I walked out. And he started screaming. I think I went in there maybe once or twice more, put him back down, patted him on the back to let him know, you're okay. And then I sat outside. I shut his bedroom door. He was in a crib, shut his bedroom door, and I sat up against the door, sobbing into a pillow. It was agony while he cried. And then he never did it again. Just one night. So you just gotta go through it. That's what I did. Do I have a lot of confidence in that? I don't really teach that. I'm just telling you what I did. I don't know if there's a better way, but I believe in pulling off the Band-Aid. I wouldn't try and stretch it out over days. I just did it in that one night. Okay. Toddlers. I talk a lot about toddlers on here. I have a bunch of courses on toddlers too, if you're interested. And if you look up, I have a playlist at the top here that says toddlers. Oh my goodness. 3-year-old tells me she's sad if she doesn't get her way. Do I tell her it's okay to feel that way? I wouldn't even address that. It's just manipulation. I'm sad when I don't get my own way. I'd go, whatever. I wouldn't even get into a conversation like that. That's the pleaser parent, that style. It's okay to have those emotions. I don't do any of that. It's like, whatever. I don't address manipulative behavior. I just let it go. Just go, whatever. Okay. Alrighty then. I ignore it. They tend to only do what works, and if acting like that works, they're going to keep doing it. Oh, I feel it coming on. My regulars know exactly what I'm thinking. Should I go on a rant? Oh, no. I'll answer I got someone on YouTube. I'm usually on TikTok. I have a toddler now. Love her so much, but I'm first-time parent, and it's intimidating to know how I should be disciplining. Everyone has such an opinion, and it sketches me out. Okay, if you go on my website, I have a bunch of courses in there on toddlers if you're interested, or just keep watching. On TikTok, I have a whole playlist on toddlers. So yeah, toddlers are crazy. They're brand new, fresh human beings. No one ever told me how to parent because I had so much experience by the time I had my kids. No one ever gave me any advice because I never asked for any. So because I had a lot of experience beforehand. But toddlers are brand new, fresh human beings. I always say they're crazy, but it's just that they're not sane yet. They haven't developed sanity yet. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got like one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. They're just forming. They're going to do stuff. They do everything on urges. They don't think before they act. They just act. They don't even think after they've acted. So They just do everything on urges. Uh, my 5-year-old daughter always cry when she is not winning at school. I don't know what to tell you with that. So she's a poor sport, is what you're saying. Do you coddle that? Because at 5 years old, she's crying when she doesn't win. I'm assuming you coddle that. At 5, she wouldn't be doing that unless you feel bad for her, whereas I would be more disgusted by that behavior. So we all lose. That's part of life, kiddo. Get used to it. Like, I wouldn't feed that. My mother would have. My mother, actually, we were in our 50s and 60s, and my mother was still saying to us, "You're such good sports." My mother was a real gamer. She was very competitive, but she never cared. She only cared about how you play, not winning or losing. So my brother and I both play hard. We both play to win, but we don't care if we win. Does that make any sense? Because my mom would say, "I'd rather lose and play well than win and not play well." So winning was, do you make winning and losing a big deal in your house? Or do you coddle to her not winning? Whereas if my kids were poor sports, I'd say, get over it. That's part of life, kiddo. So yeah, I would not coddle that at all. That would be an attitude I would be very not addressing. Okay. Okay. Emmy on YouTube. I definitely will keep watching. It is the mom with a toddler when people are telling her what to do. I'm going to tell you a story. People are so quick to be like, "You're abusive," and not like I would ever do anything close to that, but blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'll tell you something. It's one of my favorite stories to talk about people trying to tell you what to do. And I always say, no one ever told me how to parent, but these were strangers. Anyway, my son was 3 years old. It was the second to last tantrum. We were in a very busy, loud mall. And so I didn't mind him doing this in a busy, loud mall. It wasn't disturbing people. If this was in a restaurant, I would have taken him out to the parking lot. Anyway, he has a tantrum. And I pulled him away from the stairs, put him up against a store window, pulled out my nail file and started filing my nails. I didn't look at him or talk to him. He already knew me by this time. I knew it wouldn't last long because he knew me. He was getting used to this. So I'm just filing my nails, completely ignoring him. But I'm right there. And never go on your phone when you're doing this because that's very dismissive. You want them to know that they're doing that, and you're just waiting. It's like I'm just here. I'm calm. When you're crazy, I ignore you. When you meet me in my calm zone, then it's different. Anyway, so this is the funny part. All these new young moms are walking past. "Oh, you should give him a hug. Talk about his feelings." I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, so I'm like, keep going, keep going. I could care less what they think. And because they're just inexperienced. It's like taking financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank. They don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, but the other moms, the older moms with older kids and the grandmothers kept coming up to me. "Good on you. You know what you're doing." They're the ones you care about. They've got experience. But yeah, so don't worry about what people, I could care less. I'm very confident with kids. Anyway, so then he finally finishes and he finished having his tantrum. And I say, "Oh, y'all done? Okay, let's go." He just walked off. He only had one more tantrum after that. But yeah, those young moms think, why would I care what they think? Like I said, why would you take financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank? Why would you take parenting advice from someone with little kids or from people with older kids who are just bullying you? That's all it is. It's bullying. I would never, like whenever I see a mom doing the wrong thing with a kid who's tantruming and she's going nuts in a supermarket or something, I always go up to her and I always say this, "Been there, good luck," and I just laugh and she ends up, "Oh, thank you, thank you." So yeah, you're just bullying the young parent, right? Uh, I did the same thing at Costco with all the older people there that day commented. Yeah, they know. They're who you care about. The ones who have experience, right? They're the ones you want to listen to. I always say if you're going to take parenting advice from someone, there's two things you gotta look out. Make sure they have these two criteria. They have to have finished the job. Have they lived with their own teenagers and raised them right into adulthood? They have to have finished the job before they know how. You have to know how it ends. You can't give parenting advice if you've only got little ones, because a lot of that stuff backfires down the road. That's what I have to clean up a lot in coaching. Anyway, the other one is I had easy kids. I only had 2 kids and they were quite easy. I got respect when they were tiny. So they have to have had experience with hundreds of other kids with all sorts of problems, psychological issues, emotional issues, mental issues, like, disabilities, physical issues, all sorts of stuff, all ages, teenagers, toddlers, babies. You want them to have a wealth of experience because without that, how can they possibly teach parenting? Makes no sense at all. None. That's why I get a lot of people coming to me say, can you mentor me or can I hire you to help me teach me how to be a parenting coach? I say, have you finished the job? Well, no, well, I can't help you. When you finish the job, then we can talk. And go out, volunteer like I did for decades. You got to get experience under your belt with this stuff. That's why I'm hired by child psychologists. They have all the knowledge, but not the experience. Parenting is experience based because it's personal. It's not clinical. It's personal. You can learn teaching. You can learn how to be a psychologist, a psychiatrist, but parenting is personal. It's completely different from any other relationship. Okay. Where are you from? Okay, I'm Canadian. And then my kids were born and raised in Australia. My mother got ill and I moved them all back to Canada with my ex-husband, my Australian ex-husband too. While I was in Australia for 20 years, I had not one North American friend. Not one in 20 years. Isn't that weird? My husband was Australian, my kids were Australian, all my friends were Australian or Kiwis or Poms. But yeah, I had not one North American friend. I wanted them, I just never met one. Isn't that weird? You'd think I would have had one. So anyway, I was ensconced in Australia. I would never have left Australia. I love both countries, but I would never have immigrated again with a kids, an ex-husband. He did it because, we always put our kids first. I love both countries. They're both great. I feel very lucky because I've been in two beautiful countries with wonderful health care. And so, yeah. Okay. 2.5-year-old hates bath time now. How can I help her overcome? Used to love bath time. Get all those crayons, all the normal stuff that they can play with, or have them in the shower and get one of those, like, what are they called? Shower guard things. It's like a little thing that I've seen them. I just don't know what it's called. So it doesn't go in their face. So you can try the shower, but sometimes they just got to do it. Like they just have to do what they don't want to do. You don't always want to give in to what they don't like. Did soap go in her eyes or something? Is there some reason? Oh, good. I watched some of your videos and started implementing some of the things with my 13-year-old Gold. I don't usually talk a lot about teenagers on here. They're my specialty, but what did you implement with your 13-year-old? Just give me one. Would love to know. Because I don't talk a lot. I get a lot of toddler questions on TikTok. But I built my business on teen crisis work. So, and that's my favorite thing. And because that's the biggest challenge, right? That's life-threatening stuff. I'd love to know what you implemented, Heather. Okay. Doesn't like water on her head. Then get one of those water guards, I think they're called. Just look it up. I have clients who I've recommended. They said, oh, it worked. Okay, so Amy has some more questions on YouTube. The thing with YouTube is you can type so much that it takes me so long to, on TikTok, they only get so many letters they can put in there. So you got a lot of stuff written in there, Amy. Okay, yeah, I went on, I'm not really on any other, I'm on Instagram too, but I don't know much about it. My daughter just throws these videos on Instagram and I'm on there, but don't do lives on there. All my lives are on TikTok and YouTube. Okay, raising granddaughters. So you do have custody. I only teach parenting or someone who has custody, because if I was to give advice to a step parent and the biological parent didn't like it, you see that's why I don't do it. But you're the granddaughter you're raising your granddaughter. Last 3 years has panic attacks. I've been not making a big deal. Should I? It depends. Yeah, I would have to talk to you about that. So I would have to assess the situation before I can give you any advice. Last 3 years raising. Yeah, you might want to hire me for that. In my link above, I've got free stuff and paid stuff. So, and the top of the line is hiring me one-on-one for coaching. That's the most expensive because it's the most intensive, right? And that's for me, my time and all that. You always say ignore the bad behavior. No, I don't. No, I never say ignore the bad behavior. I say ignore tantrums. Tantrums are not bad behavior. They're a loss of control. But anyway, Kenzie, you always say ignore the bad behavior, reward the good. What do you consider a reward for a 2-year-old? Okay, so you ignore tantrums. They're not bad behavior. You never, ever, ever ignore bad behavior. If they hit, there's no way I would ignore that. So, but what I do say is you address the bad behavior, but you focus on the good kid. But you always address bad behavior. Anyway, a reward for a 2-year-old is just attention. Play. You always bond with your children in their world. You don't bond with your children by sitting on a bench watching them swing. You get on the swing with them. You do stuff with them. So attention is reward for a 2-year-old. And why are you rewarding a 2-year-old? I don't quite know what you mean by that. I don't reward good behavior. I never do. Just with attention, but that goes into that reward chart whole psychology, which I hate the reward chart idea. I use a behavior board, and you're on there too. That's what makes it work, because you've got to be accountable too. The kids love punishing parents. Anyway, the reward chart, a behavior board says to a child, when they're 3 and over, that's when you start the behavior board. The message you're sending with a behavior board is, you're normally wonderful. If you should happen to be rotten, I know how to deal with it. But a reward chart says, you're normally rotten. If you should happen to be good, you'll get a reward. See the reverse psychology there? That's why I hate reward charts. Is redirecting a tantrum good? No, 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 no. Maybe if they're babies, you can not redirect so much, but you can, like if a little wee one at 16 months, maybe an under, you've already taken the toy away that they hit with, and then you might sit on a couch and read out loud their favorite book without looking to them. They might crawl in your lap. So you're not really I guess you're sort of redirecting, but no, a tantrum, I never interrupt a tantrum. But when they're babies still, then I would sit off. You're sort of trying to call their attention somewhere more positive, but don't look at them or anything. They will eventually, like I've done this with tons of kids that I've looked after. I take a toy away because they hit something or whatever. I take a toy, I say no, and then they scream and have an absolute fit. Then I just take one of their books and I say, oh, and the little cat, ooh, and it jumped over there. Next thing you know, they're in your lap. I still don't talk to them because they're still in that, they're looking for a reaction. They might start tantruming again. Next thing you know, they're crawling in your lap. Oh, and look at that picture there. You see, I'm pretending I didn't even know they were doing that. But that's the most I would do. If they're older and they're having a tantrum, there's no way I would do that. Please tell us when kids start to have sense. About 19 or 20. No, I would say it actually is about 2.5 to 3, 2 3/4. But 3 is when they can start reasoning stuff out. That's why the behavior board starts at 3. Do you consider this gentle parenting? Absolutely not. I think from what I've heard, that world absolutely hates me. So no, I'm not into that at all. But I don't really comment on it because that would be insulting people. But I do insult the whole pleaser parent. Whoever teaches that, I don't know who teaches that. There's millions of different styles out there. But the pleaser parent is the one who tries to roll out the red carpet for their kids, discuss all their big feelings and big emotions, even when they're being rotten, and they're trying to make life easy for them. When you're the pleaser parent, you're always trying to avoid scenes and everything. You are more likely to raise self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. You are not raising strong individuals that respect you. They're going to wipe their feet all over you. That will backfire down the road. But I don't discuss any specific methods. But pleaser parents, there's a whole bunch of stuff under that umbrella. That's the trend nowadays, and it's just ridiculous. I know exactly where it goes. I have to repair all that damage with clients who've been doing it because it backfires down the road. What to do if a 6, 7-year-old wants to wear makeup? Absolutely not. They can wear play makeup at home, but it comes off when we go out. I do not like that at all. My daughter danced from the age of 3. She danced for 8 years. Was it 3 to 11? Yeah, it must have been. Anyway, she danced for 8 years. Hardcore makeup. Like they looked like tramps. I mean, it was just unbelievable. We'd be 6 a.m. in the morning going off to some concert across the state. And she fully made up with her hair all sprayed and everything. I never liked that. I don't like dressing them up like tarts, but it's just the world we were in, right? Because I like the athletic part of dancing. It wasn't beauty contests or anything. But yeah, I don't like kids to go out in public with makeup on. I just don't. I didn't even let her wear nail polish. I just don't. And that's a personal choice. I don't think it's going to damage them, but I just wouldn't have done it. Okay, Nora, I agree, but what should you say? What are you talking about, Nora? No, what should 60 months for makeup? Oh, just say, well, when you're older, you can. You don't justify that stuff. Say, no, kids don't wear makeup. I don't like my kids to wear makeup when they're. I don't explain myself. That's just a rule. No, makeup has to come off. You don't want to know why I'm so strong on that. No, I've worked with a lot of abused children, and People out in the world are looking, put it that way. It's the message that they're sending out to the world is what I don't like. I've worked with a lot of kids who've been abused, and yeah, it's the message they're sending out to the world is the part I don't like. So I don't explain it. Just say no. When you're older, you can. Advice on a toddler who only prefers one parent. They go back and forth. Toddlers are just forming. They're crazy. They go back and forth, back and forth. They might just want one parent because that's the one that gives them everything that they want in that time. Then their wants are going to change. They generally are more drawn to the leader down the road, especially. They're very drawn to the leader. So always, it's just the way it is. Children need, crave, and want leadership. They're very drawn to you if you're the leader. Doesn't mean that they don't love the other parent as much, but they tend to be drawn to the leader. 5-year-old daughter whines. What helps? I would just say, I don't like that tone of voice. I won't be talking to you if you talk like that again. She's 5. She can understand that. And I would mimic it. I'd say, when you ask like this, I will be ignoring you. Can I have that? I will never, you'll never get what you want by using that tone of voice. Now, here's what, if you talk like this, may I please have? Then you're more likely to get what you'd like. Okay. So just lay it down like that and then ignore. What caused a child to have anger issues? How can I fix? I don't know how old are they? 18, 8, 2? I don't know. And you shouldn't have to explain exactly. There's horrible, cruel people out there. Um, yeah, it's more about the message that they're sending. You understand what I'm talking about, right? And people are watching. I know they are. I'll tell you a story. My son, it was my son. Yes, it was my son. He was just a baby in my arms, and we were grocery shopping, and I was getting him out of the cart. I think he was in, anyway, pretty sure because I can't remember if he was in the shopping cart or I was holding him. I don't know why I'd be holding him in the supermarket. It was at the checkout anyway. So we're right there, and this older gentleman, well, he would have been my age. I'm in my 60s now, but he was an older man to me now. Of course, he seems young, but anyway, and went to touch his face like cute little baby. And I said, don't touch my baby, sir. Like it was so, it just felt wrong. You know what I mean? Like it's not dirty hands, like kind of touching my baby's face. I didn't know him. He hadn't even talked to me or nothing. So I said, no, don't touch my baby. And he goes, well, aren't you an overprotective mom? And I said, listen here. I said, as far as I'm concerned, you got the makings of a pedophile. You better leave right now. He took off running, and all the people, the checkout ladies and other moms, they started applauding. They said, he's always in here trying to touch kids. And I said, yeah. And he never came back from what I heard. They said, no. I kept saying, has he come back? And they said, nope. You scared the hell out of him. Because here I was a Canadian in Australia, and you do not touch my baby. And I told him, I said, as soon as you say the word pedophile, he took off like a shot, because he is one, obviously. But yeah, they are freaks. Freaks. Okay. How do you show leadership to a 1.5-year-old? It takes time, but you can start right away, really. And what it's all about is getting into their world, because they are watching you. And the more you get good at entering their world, you get on the ground and play with them on their level all the time, they're more likely to look at you for guidance. They just start to look at you differently. The more you enter their world, the more likely you are to get respect when they're little. But they still aren't going to learn a whole bunch of stuff till they're older. But by the time they're 3, you're the leader. It's just the way it is. They pick up on that pretty quick. In our marriage, there's always one leader and not so much a leader. It's just the way it is. No parents are ever both strong leaders. My mom was the leader. My dad was the pleaser parent. So she made up for that. He still got away with a lot more with me. But anyway, my mom let a lot more go than I would have. Anyway, but I was the leader, and their dad was we call him the treat master. And but they would push him around a lot more, but not when I was around. But by the time they were about 4, they don't do that because they're under your umbrella. They just treat everyone with respect once you're a good leader. But anyway, so he said to me one day, he says, look, our kid had a tantrum and it was just embarrassing. But he just was sort of pushing his dad around. He says, what should I have done? And I said, just say, do you want me to tell mom? And that's how he disciplined. And our son went, no. So he was still I was still disciplining, but I wasn't even there. So, but yeah, there's usually one leader. They only need one leader. Doesn't mean they love you differently, but they're definitely more inclined. They follow the leader, not the pleaser. My toddler tells on me to my parents. Is this normal? I think it's great. I just think it's funny. Uh, well, you said the age, but I don't know what your question was, and I get dizzy when I have to go back. Oh, anger issues at 9. You're not a leader. Usually that's what happens. Either there's something traumatic has happened to them and they're messed up, like they haven't processed it, or you're not a leader. They tend to have, they're not very good at emotionally regulating. If you're a pleaser, especially if you're a pleaser, always discussing big feelings, they're the most weak emotionally kids that come out of that. So yeah, it just says to me that you're not a leader. Work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're never fixing kids. We're teaching parents here. You be a leader, you lead, they will follow. They tend to be calm, confident, high self-esteem, ready to take on the world when they've got a leader as a parent. The pleaser style that is so popular right now, it's disaster. It tends to lead to all sorts of emotional crap. I could, do I want to say this? Not, I got kids on here. I deal with teen crisis work. And I would say the most scary issues that I deal with, they were raised by pleaser parents. Yeah. Discussing all the big emotions, no leadership, just always trying to please them. They got participation awards. They're just very weak. They're lost when they're teenagers. They're lost. They need a leader. How can I help my 9-year-old girl, 10-year-old girl with anxiety? Anxiety could be the start of OCD, which is manageable. It's done with exposure therapy. But if she's just got anxiety, just the more of a leader you are, a safe place to land, she can tell you everything, the less anxiety she will have. And exposure, like if she's got social anxiety, just push her out in as many different situations as possible. Have her try different things. If she has anxiety at school, then put her in dance or put her in softball or put her in something else, in theater. Mix it all up, see where she's most comfortable, and then focus on that. You build up her confidence where she's most comfortable, and then it'll kind of relate to everything else. But you want to be a safe place to land. When kids, okay, the two most important skills with older kids, especially teenagers, is listening. You listen to understand and show empathy. You do not listen to gather information to lecture with. Like I never told my kids what to do. We would just talk everything out. So they told me, and I'd say, oh, okay, what are you going to do about it? Well, I was thinking, I'd say, yeah, that's a good idea. I might do this. Maybe in between, there's what you want to do. So that's the number one skill, parenting skill with all ages, pretty much, especially past the age of about 4 and 5. And then the second most important skill, especially with teenagers, is negotiating. So I might say, hey, can you come home from the party at 11 tonight? And they might say, how about 1? I'd say, oh, let's meet in the middle at 12. But if they called and said, I'm having a great time, I'd say, sure, keep going. I didn't have curfews. That's not a very good example for me because I don't believe in curfews. It doesn't mean they were out all night, but I manage it differently. Okay, I got to get going. Can you be both a pleaser and have boundaries? No. Why would you want to be a pleaser parent? You're not doing your kids any favor. Why would you want to be a pleaser parent? Because you want your kids to like you. It doesn't build strength, high self-esteem, confidence in children. It's not a good thing to do. Rolling out the red carpet, giving the participation awards. How stupid is that? I remember when that first came out. I remember thinking, what a disaster. They just get an award for turning up? Are you freaking kidding me? What a disaster. This is what you're raising. 18-year-old gets on the bus. You didn't validate my feelings. I'm just the bus driver lady. Like, you're just this self-entitled snowflake. Oh, geez, I hate all that stuff because I have to deal with it every single day in coaching. That's what I have to erase. I have to fix all that damage in coaching. So anyway, it's been good for my business, though, I'll admit that. But I'd rather be out of business and parents not struggling than have to face all this pleaser parent mess because it is a disaster. Anyway, I got to go. If you go on the link above there, everything I have to offer is on there. Free behavior board courses, or you can hire me for one-on-one coaching. It's done on Zoom, so it doesn't matter what country you're in. I get countries all over the world. It's interesting too, when I'm talking to someone who English is their second language, I can barely handle 1. I can't imagine doing 2 or 3. And it's interesting because I tend to yell at them and talk slowly. I used to, but now they say, actually, Lisa, we can understand you perfectly. We just sound different. So I had to learn because I thought I can understand them very well because I'm not very good with languages. I've got party deafness. My son has it too. We don't hear. We just have a different way of hearing. So if someone has an accent, I can really struggle with that. So anyway, I always yell at these poor people. But anyway, I got to go. Thanks so much for joining me. The link above shows everything I have to offer if you want more. So we'll talk tomorrow. Bye now.